Trump's going to get reelected. Donald Trump's going to be the next president of the United States. If this kind of stuff that I'm reading continues to happen in American cities, Donald Trump is a shoo-in for reelection, even if he's a convicted felon. Now, that's a damn shame. But somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Did you read the story coming out of New York City? Did you read it? Involving Mayor Adams, Eric Adams, who I'm a fan of, by the way. I like him. But I don't like the story that I read over the weekend. And I think it's a story that can't be ignored. And it's talking about how $53 million in prepaid credit cards are in the process of being distributed to migrant families. Now I understand what people are thinking about, what they're wondering about here. Because they're saying to themselves, what's the problem if you're on the left? There's a big problem.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Stephen A. Simp, who has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome because similar to Bill Maher, he can make sense sometimes, right? I mean, I call Bill Maher a classical liberal, and a lot of you guys got mad at me for doing that. And rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. I'll give you guys that, okay? Because by today's definition, by today's standard, the classical liberal really is just what I would call a moderate conservative, except the classical liberal will place more value on individual liberties than maybe what you would call a classical conservative, who would place more value on like rule of law, law and order, tradition over individual liberties in certain situations. Not that classical conservatives don't value individual rights and liberties. It's just that in some situations they may put law and order and traditionalism over individual rights and freedoms. A classical liberal is kind of like a libertarian that is more accepting of government intervention. That's like the most layman definition that I can give you guys. So, for example, a conservative may believe that banning porn is good because it's morally bad. Okay, it's bad for society. And a classical liberal may believe that porn is bad for society, but they will place those individual rights over the immorality of porn. Just to conceptualize it for you guys to make it easy for you to understand kind of the difference here in political philosophies and ideology. But in the past, Bill Maher has referred to himself as a libertarian, and obviously he is liberal. He is more accepting of government intervention. He's also described himself as progressive in some sense as well too. So, you know, I think that's why the mix-up kind of came in. But a more accurate label for Bill Maher is probably old school liberal. Okay, old school liberal who, you know, is Trump deranged, right? That's probably the best way to describe Bill Maher. But I think that Stephen A. Smith, he tries to pose as some type of enlightened centrist when he's just a liberal, right? He's a liberal who's woke, especially when it comes to the conversation of race, okay? But he's one of these guys that pretends like his political opinion matters, even though he is a sports commentator because he watches Fox News, right? He's friends with Sean Hannity. He hangs out with Sean Hannity. Therefore, he feels like he has some type of like, I don't know, again, enlightened take when it comes to politics, okay? This is the same guy that was boohoo whining and crying about Texas Governor Greg Abbott arrested illegal immigrants for, I don't know, breaking the law when they crossed the border, okay? This guy got mad and started boohoo whining, crying racism, talking about how the Texas governor was going to be arresting Latinos and Hispanic people simply because, you know, they look like illegal immigrants, okay? Yeah. So again, this guy, severely Trump deranged, okay? Not because Trump had bad policies or anything like that. He just doesn't like Trump's mean tweets. He doesn't like Trump's demeanor. He doesn't like the way Trump acts. So despite agreeing with Trump on a lot of things, he can't get himself to actually come out here and to vote for Trump or to say that he supports Trump, even though he knows that Trump is better than the Democrats. But he can't get himself to come out here and to go off on Joe Biden and the Democrat Party, particularly when it comes to this issue of illegal immigration, which is the Achilles heel of the Democrat Party outside of the Israeli Gaza conflict. Joe Biden's approval rating on illegal immigration and the border crisis is in the tank. And the reason why is not just because the border is wide open, but it's because Democrats are going out of their way to do things for illegal immigrants that they don't want to do for the American people. And Stephen A. Smith is fed up with it, and he's going to go off on a Democrat. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So you can pick and choose. What it came down to for me is this. I see homeless folks in the streets of New York all the time that are American citizens. I damn sure see them in California. We've got poor, impoverished, starving people who were born and raised in this nation. How in the hell do we come up with a $53 million pilot program for illegals, but folks who are here legally are born here, we don't have enough of them? Just like we could come up with billions for Ukraine, but somehow, some way, we can't fix the homeless problem. I'm down for helping Israel. I'm down for helping address the situations with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Okay?
Yeah, you better say that, right? You better say that. You better say you down with helping that, because if you don't, you're going to get your card pulled, bruh. Okay? And so, again, what you have here is Stephen A. Smith basically saying what a lot of conservatives say in regards to what is happening, which is clearly and obviously Democrats are prioritizing illegal immigrants, in which, you know, Stephen A. Smith is not calling them migrants. He's not calling them asylum seekers. He's not calling them any of that. He's actually calling them illegals, which everybody knows they are, right? And he's just calling it like it is. He's saying, look, how can you do this pilot program and give all this money overseas to Ukraine, right? But you can't even take care of American citizens. You have a homeless problem, okay? You have homeless vets on the street. Again, regardless of your political ideology, everybody can see the reality of what's happening. Okay, and this really has been a mask-off moment for Democrats, letting everybody know in this country that they are America last. Okay, they're America last.
Hey, I'm down for helping the Ukrainians and fighting off Russia. What about poor and desolate citizens here? How the hell do you print money for foreign countries, but you don't print that money to help eradicate folks that are starving right here in the streets of America, who were born and raised here?
You know, I think we shouldn't print money to give overseas to any of these countries, really, to help fight their wars. We really should just be, you know, spending money here in America if we're going to spend money. But the reality is that we have a spending problem, right? We actually really should be focusing on taking care of our debt and reducing the deficit. Okay, that's actually what we really should be focused on, which will require severe and hard cuts that no politician really wants to talk about because they won't get elected, right? Any politician that comes out here and actually tells the truth about how we should handle our deficit/debt problem will never get elected or reelected. That's why nothing's ever done about it, because once you start telling the hard truth about how we need to make cuts across the board, including military spending, sending money overseas to these other countries, entitlements. Once you start telling the real truth about what we need to do, which is just to cut back on everything, you will not get elected, okay? You won't win. This is why people are like, why don't you run for office? Well, it's because if I was run for office, then I would have to lie, okay? Because that's the only way that you can get elected, okay? Truth tellers do not get elected because it's much easier to lie to people and tell people what they want to hear rather than to tell them the truth. And that's just kind of how politics works, okay? So I don't want to lie to people, right? I want to tell people the truth, and I wouldn't get elected if I ran for office, because I would be straight up like, look, we got to cut everything, bro. Sorry, like, I'm keeping it 100. We got to cut everything, and people aren't gonna like that. So, you know, it is what it is. This is why nothing ever gets done about the financial situation of the United States, regardless of whether or not it's Republicans or Democrats in office, because if somebody actually did something about it, they wouldn't get reelected, okay? They wouldn't be able to have a political career. That is the reality of our politics.
This is what I'm talking about. And so when you have something like that, what's the one way to eradicate it? Yes, you got to have a flourishing economy. Yes, you can't have inflation. Yes, you can't be on the verge of a recession. Milk don't need to cost $7. Bread don't need to cost $5. Don't get me started with how much sugar costs. You can talk about employment all you want to. You can talk about the labor participation rate. But guess what? If you ain't making no damn money and you got to get two jobs to pay the same prices or to buy the same amount of stuff that you used to buy, and the price is higher than it used to be because of inflation, then guess what? What are you really accomplishing?
Facts. Stephen A. Smith has a point, because the new gaslighting from the mainstream liberal media is that, oh, well, the economy is great. And they can't figure out why the American people don't agree with the narrative that the economy is great. But it's very simple. Regardless of the alleged job and unemployment numbers, okay, from the Biden administration, and inflation going down, right, according to these guys, it's just not rising as fast as it was before. The fact is that America has not experienced this type of inflation since the 70s and the 80s, right? So we have a whole generation of people who've never seen prices rise this fast in this short amount of time. So people are not acclimated to the new prices, and wages haven't kept up with the pace of inflation. So that's why people don't think that the economy is well, despite the numbers from the government, because people quite literally have to work extra jobs. They have to work more in order to buy the same amount of stuff that they could buy before Biden got into office. There's no way you're going to be able to use any type of government data or statistics that will convince people that the economy is good when people have lost their purchasing power rapidly over the last few years. Wages haven't kept up. The only way to reverse this is that you're going to have deflation across the board, which means prices actually are declining. I'm not talking about the Biden administration's definition of declining. I'm talking about like the prices actually go down, okay, not rise more slowly than it has been in the past few years, which, could, trigger a recession, right? An actual recession if you had deflation, or you're going to have wages significantly outpace inflation for an extended amount of time before people actually feel like, okay, I am richer, right? I'm objectively richer. The economy is great. And that just hasn't happened yet. We have not had wage growth outpace inflation for long enough for people to feel like they're in a better place than they were back before the inflation really started to rise rapidly. That's just the reality of the situation.
That's why Trump is on the verge of getting reelected. Because when he was in office, there was a flourishing economy. There was a whole bunch of other problems.
Like what, Stephen A? Like what? Because you just admitted that under Trump, we had a great economy. Under Trump, we had immigration a lot more under control than it is now. Under Trump, we did not have this crime crisis that we have in these liberal cities. Under Trump, we had world peace. So again, this idea that there was so many problems under Trump it's ridiculous. Okay, I'm not sure exactly where is he getting this from. I would love to hear him articulate exactly what problems we had under Trump that were so bad, okay, to justify considering voting for Biden over Trump. I really don't get it, right? I really don't get it. These people, they're Trump deranged. It's ridiculous. It clouds their judgment. It really, and that's why it annoys me so much, because your judgment is clearly clouded. Like, you can see the truth. You can see how bad Democrats are, but yet your derangement of Trump, your illogical derangement of Trump, demand, not necessarily his policies, not the results, but demand is what keeps you from voting in a way that is actually best for the country. And that's what bothers me is liberals like Bill Maher and Stephen A. that can see the truth, but yet they don't vote based off the truth that they see, because they hate a man so much and they don't really care about the country as much as they care about their own personal beef with not liking who Trump is. It annoys the hell out of me.
And I personally think his return to the presidency is going to be civil war in this country, because he's going to be desensitized to bringing anybody together, because he's going to be on a revenge tour to get back at everybody who went against him. And I think it could be the worst possible thing for the country. But I can't blame 50 Cent, for example, when he sits up there and he's tweeting, Eric Adams, I need you to explain this to me.
Yeah, so again, I want you guys to understand. Stephen A. is basically saying that, well, look, I know that everything is terrible under Biden. I can see what's happening to the country under Biden. But if Trump gets elected, he might start a civil war. You remember when Trump was running in 2016, they said that Trump's going to start a world war, right? He's going to start a nuclear war. Never happened, right? In fact, again, we had less wars under Trump than we had in a long, long, long time, okay? In fact, we didn't have any new wars under Trump. All the things they say about Trump in regards to war never happens, right? Never happens. But see, this is the logic. This is the reasoning that this guy is using to justify potentially going out here and vote for Biden, like he's probably going to do, over Trump, even though he knows the truth. Well, I think Trump might cause a civil war. What evidence do you have for that? If Trump was going to cause a world war or a civil war, that would have happened during his first administration. Didn't happen. So why do you think it would happen during his second administration? These people are just illogical.
What the hell is going on? Maybe we should consider Trump. When he says something like that, like you can see right here, what he's saying when he said it on his social media page, I can't blame 50 Cent for that. You want to sit up there and excoriate Ice Cube now when he didn't pick sides in 2020? When he wasn't telling you to vote for Biden or Trump, he was just saying, yo, I want to present a plan for black America and see who's willing to listen. And Trump gave the okay and the impression he was willing to listen. You want to call Ice Cube a sellout now? Trump got 12% of the black vote in 2016. He got 16% of the black vote in 2020. They're projecting he's going to get more than 20% of the black vote in this upcoming election. That's what they're saying. And who's to say black folks would be wrong to vote for him? I told y'all before, I am no Republican. I voted for one Republican in my life. That's Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey because I thought that Corzine was a disaster.
Yeah, so a liberal. Right? Just like I said, not an enlightened centrist, but a liberal. Okay, he's been voting Democrat all his life. And then he voted for his friend, Chris Christie, because, again, that's his friend. Right? That's the only reason he voted for a Republican.
I voted for Clinton. I voted for Al Gore. I voted for Barack Obama twice. I voted for Biden, despite the crime bill that incarcerated a whole bunch of people in the 90s that looked like me. I shoved all of that aside. All of it.
But he can't shove aside his Trump derangement and vote for Trump, even though he knows that Trump is better than Biden. Yo, Trump derangement should be studied, right? I'm so serious. It should be studied. Okay, we need actual studies of people with this severe form of derangement and why it impedes their ability to make logical decisions when it comes to voting. Okay, we have to study this because this right here is just crazy to me.
Because I know how divisive Trump would be. But as we sit here now,
wow,
and we watch something like this transpire, where there seems to be more rapt attention being paid to folks who are not even here illegally, nor are from this country, yet we want to turn around and ignore us. Black folks, Latinos, and beyond, who are impoverished and are in need. We know why you're doing it.
Well, he's ignoring white people impoverished as well, too. I don't understand. What's up with Stephen A. and all this race nonsense, right? He loves talking about race, okay? I really don't understand it. But, again, what you're seeing here is somebody that is basically, the definition of a Democrat Party voter, right, for the most part, the more, reasonable people. But even still, even being reasonable and being able to see what's happening, see the truth, that still clouds his judgment in regards to voting. He's still going to go out and vote for Biden. He can see all of this, but he's still going to go out and cast a vote for Biden come November because I think that Trump might start a civil war. Trump is too divisive. When Joe Biden is one of the most divisive presidents that we've ever had. Biden is way more divisive than Trump. But yet you're out here saying that, oh, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump because Trump is so divisive. Well, Biden is divisive. Okay, I mean, I would argue that in our modern day politics, you kind of got to be a divisive president in order to actually get elected. It's an unfortunate reality, but that's just what it is. So, again, you will have some people who will see the truth like Stephen A. and they won't vote, right? And you'll have some people that will see the truth and they'll vote for Trump. And then you have some people that will see the truth and they'll still line up and vote for Biden. But I can't feel bad for people like Stephen A. Smith complaining, who is a New York liberal. I can't feel bad for him because he voted for it. I feel bad for everybody else that didn't vote for it. But until people like him get over his Trump derangement, they'll keep voting for this type of stuff. And then they'll complain about it, boo-hoo, whine, and cry, but they'll never do anything about it because they don't change their vote. People like him, liberals like him, these are the main people that we need to blame for this country falling off a cliff. Because they know that what they're voting for is lunacy, but they sign up and they vote for it anyways because they hate Trump so much for irrational and illogical reasons. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.